Hi, I'm Paul Baxendale, and welcome to the second part of my series on relationships. Relationships, part 2. Think of the life you have lived until now as over and as a dead man. See what's left as a bonus and live it according to nature. Love the hand that fate deals you and play it as your own for what could be more fitting. What stunning words from Marcus Aurelius. And so too, it leads me into the second part of my series about relationships of the intimate kind and how literature, mythology and philosophy have some lessons and show mistakes that others and myself have made in order that hopefully you don't. In the first part, I focus mainly on men and how we need to get our own houses in order before we even consider engaging in a serious relationship where our actions may affect another. It's one thing damaging yourself by your own actions, but to hurt another person by your behaviour or by your actions is truly against the laws of nature and of virtue. As Seneca said, when the standards have been set, things are tested and weighed, and the work of philosophy is just this, to examine and uphold the standards. But the work of a truly good man is in using those standards when they know them. It's one of the reasons I believe it is best to wait before marriage, before you begin having sexual relations with your partner. There is nothing biologically, emotionally or psychologically casual about sex. And the quicker the world begins to understand this, the better we can begin to limit the damage that the last 50 plus years have had on society. When the birth control pill became available to women in the 1960s, no one had a clue how or what impact changing the basic rules of sexual activity would have on society. In the years since, it's fair to say, I believe, that society has not been enhanced nor has progressed, but has seen its values, its virtues and its honour decreased and denigrated. Now, I'm not suggesting that the introduction of the birth pill was the cause of all of society's ills, but rather it is an example where technological advances came into society without anyone having a discussion or a conversation about morals and ethics, virtue, honour and living with integrity. For centuries, the church was the controlling force of our morals and ethics. And it's fair to say that it too had its own challenges on the way it went about doing so. But, and it's a big but, perhaps letting the church police our ethics was the wrong establishment, because by then it had just become too corrupted by man. Perhaps if the West had simply gone by the words of the Bible or by the words that Jesus Christ actually says in the New Testament, then I think it's hard to argue that we would be going in the wrong direction. Now, I'm not a Christian, but I am a man who has read the Bible a number of times. And I've read the religious texts from all over the world. And let me just say that it's not surprising that they all contain very similar messages. Yes, the details and names and stories may differ, although you would be surprised at how often the stories are very, very similar. But I think we can say that since Nietzsche said, God is dead and we have killed him, that we have indeed struggled without having a framework by which we can live our lives. I struggled with that too when I was younger, and it was through having great mentors and, funnily enough, watching old movies that I developed a basic kind of old-fashioned, traditional kind of honour and virtue that I saw that was absent in my friends around me. Since becoming immersed in the world of academia some 10 years ago, I've had the opportunity of reading some of the greatest works ever, reading some of the greatest philosophers of all time, and inquire into many of the ancient myths of the East and the West, and to try and find a solution that I thought fit me and would fit others well. The greatest of these, in actual practical help, was finding Stoicism, and hence you'll find that many of the quotes I give are from the great Stoics, from the Greek and the Roman eras. Well, back to relationships. In the first part, I tried to illustrate how important it was to have yourself in order before getting involved with anyone else. Yes, both men and women. But don't take my word for it. Here are the words again from Marcus Aurelius on what happens when you do live your life to a higher level of being. Does the light of a lamp shine and keep its glow until its fuel is spent? Why shouldn't your truth, justice and self-control shine until you are extinguished? So, let's say you are doing that. It never ends. You never wake up and think, hey, great, it's over, I've made it. It's a process of waking up each and every morning and asserting to yourself that today is another day to become a better man or a better woman. Those standards will be tested daily, and it's then down to your honour and to your strength of character as to how well you do. Just as for men, the same goes for women, and perhaps in greater urgency. There are no double standards in philosophy. What is good for a man is good for a woman. And so to society, where women are often judged more harshly about their relationships, and especially about the number of relationships that they have had, it's imperative that the woman holds herself to strikingly high standards. If she is to attract the perfect man, the perfect male for her, should she become pregnant, like it or not. The reason humans evolved to become monogamous was to try to give our offspring the best possible chance of survival. And if your man was also having children with other women, then the resources available to your child would have to be shared 2, 3, 4 or more ways. The mother is or was at the mercy of her man to provide for her, and hence why she had to choose very, very carefully. Now society has changed, and it may have developed a social credit system where the state often looks after the children of mothers without fathers. But society cannot do away with a millennia of evolution that's wired into our neurological systems. Hence, the often glib saying of weak men who complain about rich men getting women easily. Well, the truth is they do, often, but not always the women that you'd want. In study after study, the trait women truly look for, apart from health and chemistry, what we call chemistry, is the ability to be able to provide for her. It's not that he already has the money, but that he shows the mindset and the ability and the desire to want to provide for her and to protect her, which is important. So all you broke guys out there, it matters not what you currently have, what your current financial status is, but if you develop the mindset, oh surprise, surprise, the Stoic philosophy does this very well, the mental attitude that you will set your sail and your steering wheel to your true purpose on this planet that you are called to by nature or to by God or whoever you believe in, then you can have the the chance to have any woman as long as she is also aligned with her purpose, and that you share values, ethics, virtues and goals that are compatible with each other. Too many men are terrified of rejection. Well, who wouldn't be? Well, perhaps the man who knows who he is, the man who knows what he stands for, the man who never kneels for anyone or anything but his woman or his God, then perhaps he isn't afraid of rejection. You see, having the grace and humility to know that you are far from what you can be, but knowing that you have made the decision today, or maybe yesterday, or maybe the day or the month or the year before, to live your life as a virtuous, noble, kindly man. That does give you the courage to approach any woman. For in doing so, there always is nothing but good and virtuous intentions in your heart anyway. Still you will die, and still you aren't sincere, undisturbed, or free from suspicion that external things can harm you. Nor are you gracious to all, knowing that wisdom and acting justly are one and the same. Women, ladies, do not ever settle for anything but what you are deserving of. If you ever accept anything less than this, then what good is it should the man you truly desire come into your life? If he is that honourable and respects his virtue that much, will he desire you knowing that you have settled for something less than you deserve, or that he deserves? No. You are a woman, the feminine divine, the only power on earth capable of creation. You are, or you should be, worthy of the virtues and values of a goddess, for that is how your man should wish to treat you. And you will simply tell him of you, do not wish to be worshipped in such a way. You know, Athena, Demeter, Aphrodite, Artemis, Hera, the list of Greek goddesses go on and on and on. It is for you that dance was created. The waves of the sea, they envy your moods, and yet society wants to hold them as negative things. Let me explain a little history, and you will hopefully understand a little better where this society is right now. In the Greek Hellenic period, the point at which Greek culture and its empire was at its highest, and its art was at its most dramatic, it is possible, I think, to follow the signs of the decadence within its society with the sculptures made then. At its highest point, the sculptures of men were rugged, straight, linear featured, Apollon, with muscular bodies and strong jawlines of the people they honoured. But as Greece became decadent in its society, people's values declined, sexual decadence became normal. Men slept with boys, women were crude, slept with many men. The scenes are depicted in Greek art of this period, as well as the statues. They changed. They became softer and rounder. It became so different that when archaeologists studying this period try and piece together pieces of statues that are broken apart, they're often unsure as to whether the statue is of a man or of a woman. And lo and behold, the Greek Empire soon descended into anarchy and was then destroyed by its enemies. Sparta from the north, Persia from the east, and Rome from the west. The Roman Empire, strangely enough, has a very similar story. From its beginnings to its height, its art and its sculpture portrayed its societal values. Strictness in society was bound by statute, and honour was integral to a man's success and to a woman's. Its architectural triumphs were huge arcs of victory, celebrations to honour the armies that were defeating every land this side of China. Rome became the world's largest ever empire, finally defeating Egypt and becoming enormous with might and power. And yet, the society then soon began to slide. Morals were left to drop. People began having orgies, sexual deviances were everywhere. And these too are depicted upon walls and plates and its structures, which began to lose their marble construction, soon became marble on top of just bricks to save money, and destroyed its heart. Rome began to fall. It fall apart alongside the behaviours in society, and soon the Goths and the Germanic tribes overran Rome, and the most powerful empire ever was in pieces, never to rise again. Is this a coincidence with its moral standards, values, virtues and honour? I believe not. When things replicate themselves throughout history, there are normally things in common. And this was the main one. The people had forgotten to speak in the forum. They'd forgotten to philosophize and discuss work, trade, economics. They stopped discussing philosophy. And the works of Marcus Aurelius were forgotten for the madness of Nero and the Caesars, who began to think of themselves as gods. Well, that's the history lesson over with. But what I wanted you to take from this is that the relationship between decadence in society and the breakdown of society is there. And it's fair to say, I think, that we are experiencing such a degradation right now. But what can we do? Women, choose only those men who deserve your most prized possession. There are studies coming out all the time showing the relationship between the hormones produced whilst making love and orgasm and the very same hormones that are excreted at birth to enable a mother to pair bond with her baby. Very powerful hormones that are nature's way of protecting the infant to be able to attach itself to its mother biologically and emotionally. And as these same hormones, albeit to a lesser degree, are also produced making love and an orgasm, then a certain amount of pair bonding will occur with the male partner. That casual sex you thought was okay because it was between two consenting adults has suddenly become a much deeper problem, with the potential to affect for good your ability to pair bond with your selected mate, the partner who you wish to spend the rest of your life with. Now, studies are still very early, but it does seem likely, and if this is the case, then choosing your partners has just another very powerful reason why you should wait for the right man to come along. If you have several partners, no one knows how strong or whether it even exists, that bond. It may be cheating you out of one of the most powerful ways to keep the two of you connected emotionally and psychologically and physically. Don't cheat yourselves, ladies. You know you are valuable. In fact, I think you know just how worthwhile and important you truly are to humankind. And perhaps society's narratives have gone against your grain somewhat. But you followed because that's what you've been told is okay. You've been told it's okay to do this. It's right. It's all right. Well, never let anyone tell you what to do with your body. Choose yourself. Choose virtue. Choose integrity and honour of the highest order. And soon you will reap the rewards of such a decision. The best men will desire the best women, just as nature intended. And perhaps, just maybe, we can halt society's plunge into the abyss of hell and decadence and raise it back up again, where we each work towards our true purpose, accompanied by our lifelong partners? Do you flirt at the gym? Do you wear clothing that you know will get you noticed? I'm not one to judge, I never have been. But perhaps just consider what it is that you want from your training. Are you a Paula Birkenshaw or a Julie? Or are you the woman who parades around the gym in a G-string unitard? Okay, I'm going back to the late 80s now with that one. But you know exactly what you're doing when you do this. Yes, try and persuade yourself it's all innocent. And it may be, but I guarantee you, the only guys who will be interested in you are not the guys who have any interest or desire to have a meaningful long-term relationship with you. Nor will they be the noble, courageous, virtuous men that will bring fulfillment to your life, because those men will be seeking a woman aligned with their own values. You do you, but do it with the knowledge that you are the holder of your own virtue, of your own integrity, your own image, actions and behaviours. Yes, men are just at fault, but you've already seen me tell men exactly what they need to do to attract the best women. And it isn't showing off. It is being the man in the gym, focused and driven, never blinded by a pretty crop top or any amount of flesh you wish to share with them. Is that who you want admiring you? No, I didn't think so. Wouldn't you rather have the most powerful, charismatic man in the gym, one who takes his training seriously and his friendships and relationships just as seriously? Someone you know will respect you and honour you, as well as also being the man capable to acting virtuously in any situation, who can handle any moment with courage, strength and kindness, but who is also aligned with his dark shadow, the Jungian dark shadow. He's aligned enough with his shadow to be able to protect himself and anyone else should the situation require it. Now, I am aware of many people, men and women, who do have psychiatric problems. They may be borderline personality disorder, where through trauma in the past, it's resulted in them seeking desperately any male or female attention from wherever they may get it. They usually have deep emotional problems and they're actually making the disorder worse by behaving in the manner they do, which is going with as many male or female partners in an attempt to find validation that they, despite their fears, are desirable. But nothing could be further from the truth. But those ladies and men, they need professional help. And as much as men and women may feel the need to be the white knight in this situation, we would be only making our own life a potential disaster and effectively destroying it, as well as giving the woman or man some honourable help, but help which is eventually out of our control. My advice is, leave it for the experts and focus on finding someone who you feel may be the person who complements your life, who improves you, and with whom you can share an exciting life adventure. It's a minefield out there. So for the next in the series, I will take a lighter look at the things that I have seen and had happened to me in my years in the gym and working on the various doors of the nightclubs that I've worked at over the years. There's some very funny stories, some outlandish ones, but trust me, all names will be withheld, as the last thing I would ever want to do is hurt anybody, even unintentionally. But at the same time, I want to highlight how these behaviours often show themselves in real life situations. It's a very sensitive subject. I hope I've handled it with the respect it deserves and the sensitivity that often results in past regrets and the worst ever feeling, that of the person of your dreams having passed you by because you were not living how you knew you could and you should have been living. Yes, you would have been worthy if you had held those virtues close, but life, it seems, always gives us a second chance at life and at love. So don't be regretful. You cannot change the past, but you can choose to be a great woman or a great man from today. And one last point I want to make in this episode is the issue and the importance of trust. Honest and integrity to yourself is crucial, and your partner in everything. There is never anything too small that you can be untruthful about or not be open and honest with your partner if you want the relationship to truly work. Is your phone locked to your partner? Why? Is it because you have something on that phone that you wish to hide from them? No matter how innocuous you think it is, or it actually is, the very fact that there is an aspect of your life that is closed off to your husband or wife, boyfriend or girlfriend, tells them that you do not truly trust them deeply within, and that you feel the need to keep something secret from them. This is no way to establish an open, truthful, loving relationship. Now, it should never be done under an element of control. Simply, you should wish your life, your every part of life, open to your partner. And if not, then why not? It suggests, if you do, that there's a problem there, either with one of you or both of you. You've not stepped up to the highest values of virtue, honesty and integrity and honour that you both should be living and both deserve from each other. And what about new age problems? This thing, social media, what about that? If you're living your life the way you would like someone else to live their life with you, then you will not be messaging other men or other women without your partner knowing. No, you won't do that. Isn't this basic schoolground stuff? I think so. But it happens all too easily, with the screen and the messages often not feeling as though it's real life. But I can guarantee you this: if a man is messaging a woman more than 10 times, then he has an interest in her, whether he or she wants to admit it or not. And regardless of a woman's perspective, what seemingly harmless messaging is far from that, from what the man's sending them, who I also guarantee is not living his life to the highest standards of virtue and integrity, if he knows that you are in a relationship. So what to do? Well, stop it. It neither serves you, your honour or your virtue, and in fact it only erodes the perception of who you are to your partner. He or she will be disappointed in you. Your behaviour, as you know, it's not right. It is not virtuous, nor honourable, and the only way this situation will head is downwards. So it's simple. Stop it. Stop doing it. In fact, try to avoid as much social media as you can, except for your true friends and acquaintances. Again, just think how you would feel if your partner was doing this to you. Is it still now just as harmless and innocent? There's an old Roman saying that goes like this: that which isn't good for the hive isn't good for the bee. Look, I'm not saying don't have fun. Have fun with your partner. Marcus Aurelius had 13 children, so he certainly wasn't adverse to having a lot of fun, and perhaps very adventurous fun at that. But it was with his wife, and that is the difference. In fact, let's take this opportunity to look at what I think is a perfect illustration of what I mean by living an honourable lifestyle as compared to one ruled by instant gratification and easy but meaningless pleasures. Marcus Aurelius had a brother, Lucilius, who was also, obviously, in the highest echelons of the state. But whereas Marcus learnt from his Stoic tutors and from his uncle, Lucilius ignored his tutoring and instead spent his days filling them with whatever pleasure he could find. As they grew up and older, Lucilius spent his days and his nights watching the games in the Colosseum and eating rich food and drinking rich wine, and then engaging in great orgies where his sexual appetites were completely let loose. Well, as long as everyone was having fun, it was all right, wasn't it? No, it wasn't right. Marcus Aurelius followed his uncle's and his tutors' examples and stayed away from the games, spending his time instead on the affairs of state. He ate sparingly, enough to keep his body strong and athletic, but not so much that he lost his martial and his athletic edge. He avoided loose sexual liaisons, writing in his meditations that they did not serve his purpose of ruling as an honourable, virtuous emperor, and not as an example for his people. He married for love, and he died on campaign, keeping order in the greatest empire and civilization the world has ever seen. And Marcus Aurelius is known as one of, if not the greatest emperors ever. His name will live on in eternity because of his decisions to live honourably, with integrity and with virtue. His brother, Lucilius, well, no one remembers his name. His name was forgotten as soon as he died. With no legacy to leave, no honours in war by which to be remembered, no great achievement to be known by, his name echoes not in eternity. The question is this: who do you want to live your life like? Do you want to be remembered in eternity for the virtues you lived by the kindness you showed to others, by the great achievements you accomplished? Or do you want to live your life with emotion being your ruling principle, never questioning whether any action is virtuous or not, and to die knowing no one or even caring that you are anything ever but dust and bones? Are you a Marcus Aurelius or are you a Lucilius? It matters not whether you are male or female. The question and the answer is the same. It's always your choice. My suggestion to you is that you are so much more than you think you are. You are capable of achieving so much more than you could even ever allow yourself to believe. Have faith in yourself, in God, in nature, in the same force that moves the winds and the waves. The creative force that gives us the mountains is the same force that is inside of you right now. Only you have not lit it yet. But to light it needs responsibility. It means living each day to your highest standards, taking responsibility for every action you take, every behaviour you express. Hold truth, hold honesty, virtue and honour closely to you, and become the woman you were always meant to be. Be that queen, be that goddess, and then live. Love is a verb, an action word. Take action, love and be loved, but only ever by the one who truly deserves you. Never allow another less worthy to have any part of you. You deserve the best, and the best will come if you live it to your best. And remember, it's better to conquer grief than to deceive it. If you've been hurt in love or in life before, conquer it. Today and tomorrow are yours to choose to become great. As Seneca wrote some 2,000 years ago, move on. Get on with your life. And from this day forward, Live with your greatest integrity and virtue, and life and nature will reward you. The best way to avenge yourself is to not be like that. Become more, and you will attract more. And since many of these things can become a habit, remember this: since habit is such a powerful influence, and we're used to pursuing our impulses to gain and to avoid outside our own choice, we should set a contrary habit against that. And where appearances are really slippery, use the counterforce of our training. The next part of this series will explore the science, psychology and biology behind dating and mating. Are there reasons as to why you are attracted to that particular girl or that particular guy? We will see whether there is any rhyme or reason behind such things, and whether in fact there may be patterns that may help us understand our choices. Regardless of whether or not you are interested in finding a partner or improving the relationship you already have, it is also critically important that we remember this. Nature bids us to do well by all. Wherever there is a human being, we have an opportunity for kindness. Remember, friends, men and women, you are so much more than you know. And within you, there are always those 3 more reps. No matter how exhausted or tired you are, you can never cheat the weights, and you can never cheat life. So my friends, always get those 3 more reps. They are in you. Get them. Thank you very much for listening and watching. It's been my pleasure to talk with you, and I'll see you soon. Bye bye.